if you looked at a manufacturing facility and there was a machine that just had all of this inventory piled up behind it and, all this backlog, people do that have the same thing. The problem is oftentimes we don't see it because it's often a digital backlog. And so it's a little hard. You go out to the factory, you see all this inventory sitting there. You're like, oh, it's obvious where the problem is. When we go into the office and in other cases, we don't always see that. And so when you start to understand is where's the backlog, and then start to look and say, is there an individual task that I could start to take away from this person? Maybe it's not even the whole task. Maybe it's just part of a task that's, taking a lot of time, effort, and energy. It kind of give you some ideas. And you talked about, let's say you get an email, what an AI agent might be able to do is go in and read that email and says, oh, new customer. Now, what do I do with that? I can come in and take that information, put it into the CRM. Then I notify, somebody else. I want a thank you gift to go out to them, a thank you email. I can have the AI agent coordinating all of these things in the background, just like you would have a task. It's probably not going to take over to be your marketing manager, but it would take over some of the tasks that the marketing manager might do.
I've heard an area that has resonated with a lot of people in talking about a solution. Again, this is an agent and a solution that is part of the overall process, but that is in the area of quoting. Whether it was an HVAC company that we had talked to, or digital marketing or different things of that nature. Being able to program an agent with a knowledge base of information about how you typically quote. Lots of examples of things you've done in the past, of course, keeping the prices relevant and appropriate to where you are. But then I use it heavily when I do quoting so that I can streamline that operation. I can make sure I have a little bit better consistency with it. And it just helps that process go a lot faster. And quoting is like my least favorite thing to do in the world. So it allows me to do that usually better. And it allows the process to be a little bit quicker as well.
That's a great business application. From a personal side, I had the other week, I had some donations that needed to go to Goodwill, and I had bag after bag. We were doing some spring cleaning, and I actually turned on the voice to text feature and basically went through the bags, said, I have this sweater, I have this sweater, I have this jacket, and all these things, and write it down. And an AI agent can often be thought of as an AI that's actually using a tool. And that's oftentimes the way people will think of AI agents. And so far I'm just dealing with the AI. And then I said, I'd like you to make me a list of the items. It actually went out online, found out how much each of those items I could, use on my taxes for donation, put it into an Excel spreadsheet without me even asking, then totaled it all up and provided me with a print ready PDF. It was amazing. And so from a personal side, this is, just ideas to kind of get your juices flowing of what is possible, because it's really only limited by your imagination. So I appreciate you've been very generous with your time. As we kind of wrap up here, what do you see as some of the next big steps for AI? What should people be thinking of, or how should they be thinking of utilizing AI? In the next year or so, where do you see it going?
Well, they definitely do need to think about AI. This is not something that you can just stick your head in the sand and ignore. The reality is, as I've talked to a number of businesses before, it's like, this is happening. And if you're not thinking about ways in which you can improve your workflows and efficiencies with these tools, one of your competitors is. And so it's just a reality of the world we live in. This is here. It's going to be big. It's going to affect everything. I have seen so many people compare it to the Industrial Revolution and the scope of the impact it's going to have. It's not going to be overnight, but it is going to happen. And especially as we see right now, like the large language models and just interacting with via text or video or voice, that's going to start breaking over into the robotic world as well. And so, I find it fascinating to follow along some of the companies that are at the forefront of robotic development, whether it's humanoid or otherwise. And as they start to pair that with, the kind of AI reasoning that we see accessible to us in ChatGPT, just imagine if that reasoning model had access to an arm and vision, what it could do in repetitive tasks. So we're going to see tremendous impact. I had listened to an interview not too long ago. It was the Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent. And keeping aside from, politics and different positions there, one of the things he was talking about is the reality that as we look at the U.S. Labor workforce and some of the manufacturing that is coming back into the country because of some of the tariffs, whether you like it or think they're a wrong decision, there is some coming back in. And there's a lot of question about, is there enough of a workforce to deal with all of these jobs? And he was one of the first ones that I heard actually talking about acknowledging the impact that AI and robotics is going to start having on everything from the white collar worker to the blue collar worker in the factories. It is going to impact things. We are going to see decreasing jobs in different areas. And it's not always going to be, made up by, prompt engineering jobs in the same quantity. So it was interesting hearing an acknowledgement of that. But, certainly being aware of this, there is also a lot of talk about what's referred to as AGI, or artificial general intelligence. And this is kind of the next step. This is when I had spoke earlier about the advancements we're seeing in different models right now being a little bit more incremental. This is what's going to be the next big step. And what this essentially brings to the table is the ability to recognize what it doesn't know, what it needs to know to perform a task, and the ability to go out, learn what it needs to do, train itself up to produce new capabilities and features in itself. So it's kind of a self-training, a self-evolving AI model. And, there's some people that, are kind of worried about that possibility, but it's going to bring a lot of new opportunities. But in the short term, we're seeing more and more AI SaaS products coming out, and all the existing tools are adding AI to them. So, there's going to be, unless you're trying to hide from it, and you really shouldn't, there's going to be tremendous opportunities to find ways to integrate AI into your workflow. And, getting back to, what we talked about a little bit with the agents, my recommendation for businesses, because you do need to really take this serious and give some thought to it. So is start from those pain points. Don't get enamored by, this tool or that tool. Identify, what is a problem that you're trying to solve. Start to clean up processes before automating them. It's never good to automate chaos. So it's always good to streamline those things first. So when you find something that is a pain point, start thinking about how you can clean things up a little bit and then automate it. It will produce much better results that way.